Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate. This is actually episode 59. We're doing the Dynamic Disc Captain this time. But before we get to the review, we want to touch on some really exciting disc member stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff happening really soon. Evan, go ahead and throw that screen up there. For August, we have the Ultimate subscription is actually getting really cool. We're getting that Super Color Center disc, the Dry Fit jersey, sticker, all of it sponsored by Moral Performance, which is this really sweet new training series specifically geared to Ultimate. So it's a fitness training series specifically geared to Ultimate. It is a $15 a month subscription that I think is free for disc members for the foreseeable future. Is that right, Evan? Is this the 1 month thing, or is this the they get it forever thing?
I think they just get it.
I think it's a you get it forever thing. So you're paying $25 for your disc member subscription, and you're getting UDisc, which is a $3 a month subscription, Moral Performance, which is a $15 a month subscription included. So there's 18 of your $25 there, plus the other stuff. So super excited about that. Steve, why don't you run us through that disc golf package?
Yep. It's first time we're going to be using them. That's Millennium. This similar to Innova, but these guys setting us up with super sweet. They're Millennium Quasar. It's really close to an Innova Pro, but super great feeling, super long bomber. You're gonna get some sunglasses, you're gonna have your towel, then you also are gonna get a pretty sweet bottle opener, and like always, you got your UDisc. Oh, there's actually a bumper sticker that you're getting with it as well. So Millennium's going all out, setting us up, setting you guys up, and then the giveaways for the drawing, I'm sure also.
We're still working on those.
We always have top notch.
How do you apply for the raffle?
All right, so if you are a disc member, you've got 3 options how to get into our raffle that's every month. So we got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, hashtag disc member, and make sure @disc store is lit up so that way we can see that you've selected us. And
This is the promo from last one. So by August 16th is when we'll have. August 15th is when the raffle will be. There's usually bags, baskets, discs, other stuff, whole bunch of stuff in the raffle. You don't want to miss out. So that's August. I just in the last couple of days locked in discs for the rest of the year. I can't tell you exactly what yet, but I can tell you we have Latitude 64, West Side, Discmania, and Discraft, all with never before released plastics of discs for those last 4 months. Super excited about them. We can't wait to announce those when we get a little bit closer. That's Disc Member, $24.99 a month. You get sweet stuff like that every month. But let's go ahead and get into the review. Again, during the review, we give away all the stuff that we threw for the review. So we got both of these captains, the special edition and a first run captain that we threw for the review. We took them out to a field, threw them about 10 or 12 times a piece to give you guys a really good idea what they fly like. You'll see that video in a second. I'm also going to give away this robot AVR. These custom stamps are on sale. There are only 150 of these made. 50 AVRs, 50 Champion Leopard 3s, 50 star rates. So super limited, $5 off for the next couple of days till Sunday. The Lucid Captain will go to whoever gets the farthest distance. So me or Steve, guess which disc went the farthest, how far it went, and then you will win that Lucid Captain. And then the other 2, let's give away to good questions, good comments, or just something that makes us laugh. So talk to us, ask us questions, be involved, and you might win some stuff. All right, so again, this is episode 59 of This is Great with Steve and Nate. We're getting up there, getting really close to some real numbers here. So this is the Dynamic Disc Captain. So Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about what DD says about the Captain?
Yes. With a speed of 13, a glide of 5, a high-speed turn of -2, and a fade of 2, Dynamic Disc says this about the Captain. It's a great introduction to distance drivers for newer players and a predictable, understable disc for more experienced players. With surprising speed and controllable turn, the Captain can help players add distance over discs with similar rims. Follow the Captain to new, longer flights. That's a cute one. I like.
It's
when
not
they're
as
little-
dad jokey as
There you
the
go.
other ones.
Nice and short, but they still add the good
Oh,
questions to it.
So it's super wide rim, so that 13 speed is directly correlating to how wide that rim is, as you can see Reeser showing off there. Pretty shallow, feels pretty good in the hand for a distance driver. The SE is that that's the flex, right? The Fusion X blend is what that's called.
Yes.
So typically a little more understable than the Lucid. So 13.5, -2.2. Though these will pop back up on the screen, but what are some discs that are real close to that we were comparing it to?
The Mayhem was one of the closer to top ends that I just thought of right away. Just predictable, under stability, but to fade out. Instantly, I thought of the Shrike.
Yeah, when this was first announced, my first thought is, oh, this is the DD Shrike.
Yeah.
Because on the screen there it says 13.6, -1.2. That is the same numbers for the Champion Shrike. But the Star Shrike actually has 13.6, -2.2, so almost identical numbers. So I was like, oh, this is going to be the trilogy version of the Shrike. So we'll see if it comes out to that. Also matches really close to the Legacy Aftermath that we reviewed last year. Has that turn, but still has that fade. It is one number off of the Sheriff. The Sheriff that we did from DD last year is 13.5, -1.2, so very close. Any other discs that you want to throw out there that are close?
Prodigy's X4. It very fast, but as a understable, and then she comes back. So
And I'd say, like, feel in the hand-wise, it feels pretty close to a Shrike or the X4. It's not super deep.
Yeah,
It is pretty shallow like the X4 was. But yeah, so flight-wise, the Shrike is one of the discs that we hand people who can't necessarily handle destroyers or bosses or things like that. It's going to add distance for those lower arm speed players who are trying to throw those discs. This could be the DD equivalent. If the Sheriff or the Trespass is a little too much for you, or the Ballista Pro is too much disc for you, this might be something that's going to add distance, or at least be able to get that distance without as much effort. And that's why we compared it to the Mayhem instead of maybe the Excite. We might get the same flight out of the Excite, but we had to give that disc a little more. The Mayhem got that same distance a little easier. So let's check out how it flies and see if those are close comparisons.
Nate, what's the weight on your disc?
This is 174.
This is 173. We try to keep them as close to each other because once you start jumping 8 to 10 grams, you start seeing a major difference in how fast the disc gets up to speed. So these are very close in speed, but the difference between the plastics is where you might see one might turn a little more, one might fade a little more.
And we try to keep weights consistent between videos, because if we're showing you an overstable disc at 160 versus an understable disc at 175, they might look closer than they actually are.
Yeah?
All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
Real ready. I like to start off with a big swooping hyzer, and it stood up just like I thought it would. And then we've got some retaliation from Nate since I got that close to him.
Now, I was more like 384 when we were throwing these. That was as far as you had thrown it at this point. I was like, I know Steve has more than that, so that's me throwing the other captain back so we can try again. But yeah, I mean, Steve wasn't putting a whole lot into those, and he's getting that little hyzer flip to 384, nice, controllable, and straight. Like I said, that's not a full arm speed pull for Steve, and he's still hitting 380. That's a pretty good sign.
Yes.
Also, thank you to UDisc. We get free UDisc accounts so that we can measure all these distances. We don't mention that as much anymore, but we were super stoked for those guys helping us out when we got started. So this day, I had some weird crosswind, so these are being a little touchy because of that wind. And so I'm putting it on that hyzer. It's flipping up and turning. The wind's helping it do that a little bit, but it still did fight out of it. 387 without being able to fully rip on it because of the wind is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. But it's definitely got some turn. It's not like it's flipping on me all the way. It did fade out at the end, like I said, but it's definitely got that high-speed turn without having to really rip on it.
So
That's a pretty steep height.
This disc. It's definitely more understable, but again, you can launch it on a nice speed, get it up there to fly. and it almost always comes back every time, even with that extreme hyzer. So it's done exactly what I thought it would do, close to the numbers, and it's an effortless at least 380.
Yeah, so like on some of the discs we've been reviewing lately, on that angle, it should be that big C-looking flight pattern. This is definitely flipping up and definitely turning and getting that full flight, even at that steep of a hyzer. Like my Champ Strikes won't even fight out of that hyzer that much.
Nope.
So this one was going, but it was just too low. If it stayed up and had time to flex back, that would have gone so far. But again, this is a little wind assisted, but Evan, you want to run that back and kind of, I see if that's the red one or the yellow one. I think that's the red one, but we can't really tell. Go back just a little, back just a little farther. Oh, this is the yellow one. So this is the more stable one even. Throwing that at almost flat, just a tiny bit of hyzer, it's definitely flipping and turning for me.
Do you have any crosswind?
There was a little bit of crosswind, so it was definitely pushing it more. But even like my Champion Strikes, I would trust in that wind without a doubt.
Yep.
They would still come back a little bit. So this is a little more understable than my Champion Strikes, and it's definitely holding that turn. Now it did go 385, which is still a pretty good pull for me, and it just didn't have time to flex out and get a little extra distance. We'll see if we can't get a couple better throws. So this day, the wind finally died, and so I actually got to throw this without as much crosswind. There you go. The wind wasn't turning it as much, so for me, this would be definitely a tailwind to a no-wind driver, not a headwind disc at all, or even crosswind, just because it's getting a little too touchy. But for me, that's the hyzer flip angle I want to throw, just a touch of hyzer, flips up, and this one turned forever. It had enough height to stay in the air and get that flex out at the end. And 451 is at the top end of my range. That's not a distance I'm hitting very often or very consistently. I think our max that we've ever had in the show is 451. It was 454, I think, with Excite. Yeah, something really close to that. So this is really close to the farthest we've ever thrown on this show. So this has the distance potential. It's got the glide, it's got that high-speed turn to get there, it's got the speed. It's just for me at my arm speed, it's a little unpredictable in the wind. So definitely something that would be great for if you're a little lower arm speed, you don't have to worry about that as much, and you're still going to get that turn. And so this is flat to a slight ante, just letting it turn over, trying to throw a big turnover shot with it, and it did that. It held that turn. So for me, this would be a really consistent, understable driver. Not necessarily something I can mash on for my max distance, but definitely something I can trust to turn and throw those big antes with. All right, I think we're going to take a look at some forehand shots now.
So, because I'm not the greatest forehander, don't have the most amount of power as of yet, I was able to have a nice comfortable hyzer release and was able to get it to pop up to flat, turned it a little even. So still very understable once you get it up to speed, but a reliable fade out. Very, very nice fade out at the end. I knew as long as you put it on hyzer, it has a chance to fade out. So
yeah, and 287 for you on a softer flick is pretty good. Like you weren't fully putting full power into that, and that's still a pretty solid distance for you. So I'm having to put a lot of hyzer on that to keep it from flipping over and burning out. But put some pretty good pop on it, flipped up to flat and turned, so it's definitely a little more understable disc than I'm used to throwing sidearm, than I'm real comfortable throwing sidearm. But I top out around 340 for sidearm distance when I'm really mashing on something. So being able to throw a nice hyzer with a little bit of pop, flip up to flat, go straight, still got that fade out at the end, even with the more understable version. Pretty comfortable with. For a lower power sidearm player, this is going to be a good disc to help you get some distance. Yeah, that's the air bounce in the wind for sure. But it's not going to be something that's going to be your like 400-foot masher sidearm disc if you're somebody who's got a lot of power, but it's going to be a nice, easy one for those who don't have the biggest sidearm to get a little extra distance.
Another, throw it on hyzer and have it come back. That one even farther. So this is finally, I didn't have to pop it as hard as I would a destroyer for it to get that kind of distance. So, like Nate just said, for someone who can't get that destroyer past 250, maybe this might have some potential.
For sure. All right, is that all the videos this time around? All right, so let's go ahead and talk numbers comparisons real quick. How do you feel about that 13.5, -2.2?
I liked how fast it was. I didn't think it has as much glide as our Shrikes, but I think the Lucid did have the -2 and then the 2 fade. So I think the numbers were just fine.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty close. I mean, numbers are arbitrary, and you could go back and forth between -2 or -2.5. But yeah, I think for me, the Lucid one definitely flies pretty close to my Star Shrikes. My little bit lighter Star Shrikes were really close to this Lucid Captain. That was pretty close to the G-Star Shrikes that we threw. So comparison-wise, they're pretty close. They're reasonably close. My Champion Shrikes are a little more overstable, and I feel a little bit more confident in being able to rely on them throwing hard. But for someone who's got just that little bit touch less arm speed than us, this is going to be your max distance driver, throwing really well. And if you do have our kind of arm speed, it is going to be that turnover driver for you. Like, I carry a lighter Star Shrike in my bag so that I can throw it on hyzer, pop it up, and have it still turn. This would fill that same kind of slot, do the same kind of thing. Just being able to crush on it on a hyzer, have it flip up, and still carry right or finish straight. Definitely a great disc for that. And like I said, if you're throwing if your top end distance is like 350-ish, this is going to be a great disc that's going to push you to 375, 380. That we've been recommending Shrikes to people all over the place, and they're jumping 20 feet almost instantly at such effortless distance. If you are a Trilogy nut and you want that from Trilogy, I think this is one of your best options. If the Sheriff was just a little too much disc for you, this is going to be perfect.
You guys want to give them away?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Who got closest to that 451?
Is that the yellow one?
Yep.
Ooh, okay. Our good friend Ethan Watson guessed 1 foot over, and since I started doing this, it's the closest not going over. It was 451 was how far you threw it. He guessed 452, but the closest without going over was Jason Green. Guess 444.
All right, so in case you couldn't hear Reeser, since he took over checking the distances, he's been doing Price is Right rules, closest without going over. So we're sorry, Ethan Watson. Evan is mean. You guessed 452. You were the closest, but you were too high. It was 451, so Jason Green wins with a guess of, what was it?
444.
444. Our good buddy Jason Green wins himself a
444, Bob.
Lucid Captain.
Jason says, give it to Ethan. What a nice guy.
All right, so we still have this Robot DX AVR to give away. Again, these are on sale for $8.89. We have Champion Leopards with this stamp. We have Star Race with this stamp, both on sale for $14.99. Go check those out. They're limited runs of 50 of each disc. And we have that SC Captain to give away. So let's see if we got any good questions and good comments to give it to.
Just stop me whenever you want to give it away.
Sure.
Here's some questions. Let's see. Jason Green actually says he really likes the DM Strike, but he wants something with an ever so less bit of stability. Would this be good?
So the question is, he loves his Dismember Shrike, which, if I remember correctly, Jason gets the lighter versions, which are bombers. I love those. And so but he wanted something with a little bit less stability. Would this be a good option?
If you got the SE version, I would say yes, because it's not fighting out as hard as early, I would say that feels more understandable. But even switching to a Star Shrike compared to the Champion,
I think this would be a good option, even a Lucid, because I think this has is a touch more understable than those Dismember Shrikes. Depending on which one you got, this is more understable than my Pop Top Dismember Shrikes for sure. they flip similarly, but those come back a little harder than these do, and this flips a little longer than those do. So if you want something a little more understable, this I think would be a good option. I think this would be one that like Jason Green wants, keeps arguing for slower disc and dismember, which I hear you, I'm trying. But I think this would be a pretty good solution for you. I think this would be something that add distance to your game pretty quickly.
Don Palm wants to know what's everyone's opinion on the pipeline disc?
That is from
DGA.
DGA. Why did I space on that? Yeah, that's a DGA disc, and other than the tremor, I don't know that I've actually thrown a whole lot of the DGA stuff yet.
Did we throw the pipeline?
No, we have not thrown a pipeline.
Because for some reason I wanted to say it was like a Thunderbird, but I'm sure that's probably not true.
Risa, you want to grab us numbers on the pipeline real quick?
I'll pull it up. I'll give you another question on
Yeah, and whoever this question is going to win this robot disc for funsies.
Okay. Mark Lawful Holtz, he asks, so if you're dropping weight on a disc, does that make it less stable? Does that allow you to throw this farther or not in the wind? Still trying to learn about all that.
So Mark is basically asking, how does weight affect disc stability in flight? So, getting into a little bit of the physics lessons for you here. So basically how weight affects disc flight is the heavier a disc is, the more effect gravity has on it, so the faster it slows down. It also gives it more momentum, which is how it fights. Heavier discs fight through the wind better because they have more momentum from the weight. So they also slow down faster, so they are going to hyzer out a little earlier. If you are not the most powerful player and you're not getting a disc fully up to speed, then lighter discs can help you get. So how lighter discs give you more distance or get you more speed is it's lighter, so your force you're putting on the disc gives the disc more momentum because it doesn't take as much energy to get it going fast. So you're able to get more spin on a lighter disc, therefore it is going to turn a little more and glide out a little more and not slow down as fast. Hopefully that made some sort of sense, I think. But
isn't it? I mean, about 10 grams is when you really start to affect it.
You're not going to. You aren't. Research right. You're not going to see a lot of difference if it's 1 or 2 grams. I don't really notice anything till at least 5 and probably closer to 10 where you really see some significant difference. And definitely if you're going to like Blizzard Plastic and you're looking at 40 or 50 grams, you're definitely going to notice. But yeah, it's all about momentum and spin and how much power it takes to get that much spin on the disc. So lighter is going to give lower power player, like someone who throws 10, 15, 20 miles an hour slower than I do is going to get a similar flight out of a like 165 gram disc that I'm getting out of a 175 gram disc with the same amount of power.
Naomi Downs wants to know what is it going to take to replace a strike for your bag, Nate?
I mean,
Nothing.
it's at this point it's a financial commitment that I have made. I've mentioned it a couple times on the show, and I have posted in the Dismember group a couple times. I own at least 15 strikes at this point, so it's going to take losing all of those and something being like. I've mentioned a bunch of times, like I could replace that disc with like the Excites or an Excite Tantrum combo. I think could replace that disc, and I have thrown those farther than I've thrown my strikes, so those could replace that and maybe even be better. But I mean, I work at a disc store and like can buy frisbees for cheaper, but I still don't get them for free. So I have 15 strikes I've paid for. I'm going to kind of throw those till they're gone.
Bruce says he's got 8 because he got him hooked on it now. So there's other people out there.
Good man,
That's
Sean.
your job.
Good man, Sean.
I found out the pipeline numbers.
Okay, go for it.
Pipeline number is 8502. Much slower, but
So that the pipeline, so the numbers you gave were 8502 on the pipeline. So Steve, you're kind of like, if it flies true to those numbers, that is roughly Thunderbird.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a company I haven't thrown enough of. Even though I work here, I still get a chance to get my hands on all of the discs and throw them. We do have a project that we've been working on that might accomplish that at some point. But not a disc I've thrown, but that's a disc that I could see being a nice solid addition to a bag.
Do we still have another disc to give
We do
away?
have a disc to give away, so why don't you ask me at least one more question, and we'll give this disc to that person.
All right, Matt McGovern, he asks, any
Governor.
idea on how a captain beats in? I have a couple of dynamic discs that I have that beat in really quick and became extra flippy. Now, wouldn't that be more about the plastic thing?
It does depend. So the question is, how quickly does the captain beat in? And I will say that sometimes that is generally Trilogy plastic is really consistent between runs and how it comes out. But there have been a couple runs of Opto or Lucid that seem to beat in really quickly to me. I also have Lucid discs that fly just like the day I got them. So that's somewhat, I don't know why that happens sometimes. Plastic is an inexact science. We don't throw the discs we throw in the show enough times or into enough trees to really get an idea of how they beat in.
Video idea.
But in general, I'd say like the Lucid and especially that SC plastic is going to hold up for a decently long time. Biofusion tends to beat in faster, which I don't even think we have Biofusion captains yet. But that's why the pros like the Biofusion stuff, because they can beat it into where they want it quicker when they lose stuff.
We do have them. We do have them on the site.
But
Biofusion
captains?
They're on the site at least.
Huh.
I don't know if we're having the stock.
All right.
So Matt McGovern's going to
How do you feel? Does that seem accurate to you, Steve? As far as
I know that I do have an SE captain in my bag, and I knew it was already going to be my understable version of my distance thrower. I've managed to not hit any trees significantly enough yet, and I don't throw it every time I play. So I will update you with that. But so far, after 20 throws with my captain, I have not noticed a significant flight difference. But I can imagine once you start seeing scuffs all over the place, then you're going to start to see how beat up something can really get.
And yeah, it's just like I said, it's just sometimes a run consistency thing. Like I had ballistas in optoplastic that were money, and then all of a sudden they got real flippy real fast. But then like my Lucid Felons, I don't notice a difference in for a long, long time.
I've had guys
So
come in where they're like, I threw this 6 times and it's already a different disc, and I was like, how do you know that? But
Well,
if you
again,
know,
it
you
also
know.
depends where you're throwing. Like I have a Shrike in my bag that I put in brand new for GBO, and then I threw it on like hole, I think it's 6 at Clover Cliff, and it's just this massive rock wall that you throw up, or like it's like this hill that's just full of giant rocks, and I threw crush drive up there, and it went rock, ground, and it never flew the same after that.
Oh.
So like one bad hit can also do that to a disc. But that's what the buyback program's for. You can trade that
It
out and
is.
get a new one.
How stable is, Sean Pavel wants to know, how stable is your cutting putter and why?
I putt with pilots. They are straight to slightly understable. When I release the disc, I want it to go where I put it, and I don't want the stability to flip it over or hyzer it out. I do have judges in the bag that are a touch more overstable for when it's really windy. Essentially, it accomplishes the same flight as my pilot in no wind in a headwind.
I'm using the P-Line P2s, so 2301. I know I can pop on it and it'll stay straight for a very long time, but if there is any wind, I know I'm not just totally turning over, and I really like the amount of glide that I'm getting out of it. I used to have a PA3, which it felt like it had like a glide of 1 or 2 compared to this disc, so I finally feel comfortable throwing it and knowing it's going to stay in the air.
All right, let's go over the winners real fast.
Yep. Was that last one the winner, Sean?
No.
No, so we got
We didn't pick.
Mark Luffelholtz won the robot.
Yep. Mark Luffelholtz, Robot AVR.
We got Jason Green, who guessed the right link. It's the yellow captain.
Jason Green's distance gets the captain.
And Matt McGovern is the SE.
Matt McGovern is getting the SE captain.
So his question about the plastics and getting beaten. Now I do have one final question. This would be a good way to end it.
Cool.
Someone wants to know what's in next month's disc number. So
All right, so go back to the beginning of the video. We've got to pop that up there. In the disc golf disc member package, we have these Millennium Quasars. Millennium Plastics from Millennium Discs is essentially Innova's Pro plastic. It feels really good, nice and grippy. These things are probably going to be really bombers. This is a Quasar, which is fairly close to an Innova Boss, with this really sweet custom stamp that we got on there. I'm super excited about those. You're also getting Millennium sunglasses, a Millennium bumper sticker, one of the really sweet Disc Store bottle opener keychains. I have one on my keychain, they work great. A Disc Member towel, and then the UDisc subscription as always. Steve, why don't you run us through the ultimate one?
So Meryl's really cool training.
Moral
has really cool training videos, really helping geared completely towards ultimate. Helps you get better, helps your team end up winning. You know, why not get better when there's deals like this? So basically, that program itself is $15, and if you get Disc Member and you get this Moral, you get the Moral training program, and you get UDisc. That's already $18 worth of product, and then you're also getting a jersey and a disc and a sticker. So super awesome program. You guys, we are bringing it all out for you ultimate players. Get in on it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna get better.
And that Moral service is a monthly subscription that I believe you are getting for the life of your Disc membership. So you're not only getting $15 for the value this month, you're getting $15 for the value from here on out. So definitely check that out. I haven't seen any of the videos yet, but they look super well done, and they look like they're gonna be well worth the time to check out. All right, that was episode 59 of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate, the Dynamic Disc Captain. Your new bomber disc from Trilogy. Go check them out.
What do we got next week?
Next week, we are either going to have new footage that we're going to film on Sunday, or it's going to be the H1V2 from Prodigy.
Sweet.
Thanks, y'all.
See you guys.